Hey everybody, what's going on? Rob Cesternino back with you for our Survivor exit interview. Today we're going to talk about the latest player voted out of the game. That's Chrissy Sarnowsky, and she got voted out not without giving them a piece of her mind. Chrissy had it. And so we will talk with her about everything she saw out there on Survivor 48 in today's exit interview. Also had for you last night the Survivor Know-It-Alls with Stephen Fishback, and today I'll be talking with Drew Basile. You're not going to want to miss that one. So if for some reason you're not subscribed to this channel, what the hell are you waiting for? Make sure you hit that subscribe button and don't be shy with the thumbs up if you're so inclined, okay? It doesn't cost you anything. You don't have to be cheap with a thumbs up. Okay, here's my interview with Chrissy. Hey, Chrissy, what's going on? Rob Cesternino, RHAP. How you doing today?
I'm doing all right.
Yeah.
I came home early last night. I didn't go drown my sorrows or anything.
That's good. Very responsible.
Yes.
Chrissy, I got to imagine it must be so frustrating for you because here you are. You're a person who hold up a picture in the preseason. I want to quote, "I don't think super fans make the game better." You told
Okay.
Mike Bloom, "I hate it when these nerds cheat and print the puzzles at home." How are you being the face of like, hey, the strong people don't like all these conniving super fans?
Okay. I said what I said, right? I didn't realize I was going to insult the whole world of Survivor fans because they're
I'm
all
not even
super.
talking about that part. I'm talking about the guys that wanted to say we got to get rid of Chrissy. You should be in the strong five as far as I'm concerned. How about that?
There you go. I like that. I like that. Yeah, I think when we picked tribes that second round, I unfortunately got stuck with Say, Cedric, Bianca, and Mitch, all the people that are on the bottom, and then me. So that just outlaid the rest of my experience. I think all those strong people. Did you see it was David and all the girls and Camilla and all the guys? I mean, and they formed these bonds that I was behind the eight ball.
Yeah. Okay. Well, last night you ended up being the target of everybody's vote. And I kind of thought you were going to go play the shot in the dark. Was there a reason why you didn't play the shot in the dark?
I didn't even think about playing at the shot in the dark. I don't know. I don't know why I didn't. I look back and I'm like, why didn't I? But it didn't even pop in my head. I knew I was going home, obviously, because that's why I was just going out swinging like that, just throwing everybody's name out there and yelling, David yelling at me and stuff. No, I didn't want to stay like that. I didn't want to stay by chance because they would have just they were picking us off like we were like that's all they were doing.
Yeah. Were you surprised that even Mitch voted for you?
No, I saw it in other faces during tribal council. Once I started opening my mouth and I knew that it was coming to me, I was like, fuck it, let's just do this then, and so,
Yeah.
you know.
Had you been aware of sort of like the tense conversations that went around about who the vote was going to be?
I wish David would have came to me. If David wanted Camilla out so bad, I don't know why he didn't come to me. Kyle went to Camilla, so she had a heads up that it was going to be either me or her. Gave her a fighting chance. If I would have known, I would have zipped my mouth maybe a little bit and sort of tried to steer it towards Camilla a little bit, But I had no idea that that whole thing was going on.
Chrissy, what happened between you and David? Because I'm old enough to remember when there was a four-person alliance back at old Siva where it was everybody, we all think that Charity might be shady. And you were in the four-person alliance and the humble traits. What happened?
What happened was when we switched tribes, I saw when we got back that David hooked on to Mary. You could see this bond that David and I'm like, shit, I think we lost David. And then he always talked about doing challenges against Joe, and I want to go against Joe. And they don't show it, but I was sobbing that day. I never cried, and I hit by the water well, sobbing to David, saying, "You're here to win $1 million, not to play reindeer games with Joe." Like, what are you doing, and
Yeah.
I could see in his eyes that he was torn, but he was leaning towards them, and I'm like, shit, I lost David.
Chrissy, I want to go back to the split tribal council last week. And, I can't even say that I thought of this in the real time, but I heard Sam Fallon say, like, you know what they should have done? They should have gotten Chrissy and Say and Mitch and use Mitch's block a vote and maybe Star and break up Joe and Eva at the split tribal council. Was that something that was even percolating?
There was a couple things to that. First of all, the person that went home was not making the journey. So that sort of scares you a little bit. It puckers you up a little bit and you're like, "Okay, do I want to make this move?" They don't show it, but Joe and I were sitting on the beach, and he like sternly said to me, "You're not voting out Eva tonight, are you?" And I was like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "Shit!" I look back and I'm like thinking about that conversation. Like I should have, even though I might have went home because I didn't know Star at that point, really, So,
Yeah.
but Say had come back. Say went for a walk. Say is crazy. Say went back for a walk with Eva, who
Lovingly crazy?
what?
Lovingly say is
Yes, of
crazy?
course. I
Yes.
love her. I love her to death. When she called me a psychopath, I text her. I'm like, "You called me a psychopath." But she went for a walk with Eva and came back and said, "Whatever we do, I'm not voting for Eva." What came out of her mouth, and I was
Okay.
like, "You don't even know Eva." But so that sort of stare. I'm like, "All right, then it's you. Whatever."
Yeah. Were you surprised that when you watched the episode last night that Eva came back and was telling a lot of was being a little bit of a snitch?
Yes, she was. I think she saw that I saw her and Joe's alliance were so tight that I was going to try to break them up, and I think she got a feeling of that, and I'm not a man, obviously she likes working with guys, she says it herself, so
Hmm. Yeah.
uh, they don't show it in tribal too. When I go after them, like it's somebody asked about her autism, and I think she even brings it up during the thing. They don't show it, but it has nothing to do with her autism. I'm like, her and Joe are two strong players, and if anybody can't see that they are so strong and they're working together outright, like it just blows my mind.
Yeah. Do you feel like that all of the other players are sort of just like falling in line because that they're afraid to upset the apple cart with this strong pair?
Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. In Chicago, we get a lot of snow. And then when I was a kid in the winter, we would big pile of snow, and it was called King of the Hill. And the King of the Hill would sit on top of the pile, and the rest of the kids would run up and try to push the king. Nobody wants to run up the hill and push the king off the hill. I'm like, what's going on here? We're just
Hmm.
letting them sit there and going boing, 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 like
Yeah. All right. I want to go back to one of the earlier votes in the season. And we had the point where Bianca did not have a vote. And she told Cedric. And somehow Cedric got you to vote with him and take out Bianca. What was that lead up to that like?
well, they don't show again a lot of that. Bianca was the vote for me the whole time, really. I mean, Say was getting on my nerves like no tomorrow, but in my head, I wanted Bianca just because she was part of the strong group back. And if we went back, Say's annoying, but Say is harmless. Nobody's gonna give Say $1 million. Say could have went all the way to the end if for all I care,
Mhm.
but it really was Bianca the whole time. And then they don't show Seth and I really got along because we're older. We're both in the medical field. We sort of bonded a little bit. So it was more of a look like, all right, it's her, like kind of thing. And that's all I needed. Mitch was all over the place. I'm trying to reel him in, and Mitch is like running around with his chicken, his head cut off. I'm like, oh my God, it was crazy. I'm like, Mitch, come back to earth.
Yeah. Okay, so what about your relationship with Mitch? Because it seemed like that in the pre-swap, you two weren't that close, but then it seemed like that you became a lot closer after you stayed on Siva together.
We were close pre-swap, because we worked a lot of the challenges together. Mitch and I paired up a lot. He was very calming to me, being the gym teacher, helped me through a lot. So I think we bond. But him and Charity, he just went to the wrong person to bond with, which was Charity, which sort of sucked. So I couldn't get as close as I wanted to with Mitch. But then when we got stuck on with the second tribe with Cedric, Say, and Bianca. I mean, like we're all on the bottom. You have 5 people on the bottom in one tribe. We got a little bit tighter there. But even then, we were all playing from the bottom, and it's hard to play from the bottom when you've got such strong people playing from the top.
Sure. And announcing like, hey, where are the people on the top?
They weren't even walking away. We would walk in the trails and like talk our they would just sit at camp and just talk strategy and be pointing at us. At least that's what I felt. You know, a lot of paranoia sneaks in and you see stuff going on, but to me it wasn't they weren't even trying to hide it, you know, which pissed me off.
Chrissy, from our perspective at home, it seems crazy to think that people don't know Kyle and Camilla are a duo and a pair. Was you were in the first tribe with them, so were you aware of how close they were, and were you surprised that people felt like that they weren't on the same page?
No, looking at it now, I'm like, how did I not see that? Like they are doing a great job of concealing their I mean, I knew we were the Siva 4 and but I had no idea that they were the dynamic duo, you know, because they really are.
Yeah. Were you expecting Siva to stick together for the vote that you went to last night? For
I
last
was
night for
hoping I
us.
mean, me and Mitch, they show Mitch bringing it up, but both Mitch and I were like, "We have 5, like, we have 5 Siva." There was Star didn't have a vote for I mean, it was just it could have been an easy and then if David wanted to go play reindeer games with then do it, but let's do something now, you know, while we have the opportunity and and just David didn't wanna do it. And Kyle and Camilla, I don't blame them. They were playing the middle. They had the perfect spot. If strong 5 was gonna go, then they could go that way. But if Siva was gonna stand up and have some balls, they could have went that way, you know, but they were playing the middle, which was the perfect spot for both of them.
If they would have brought you in for a plan, hey, let's take out Camilla. Obviously, you don't want to go home, but would you be looking for a different option, or that would have been fine with you?
No, that would have been fine at that point, you know, as long as it's not my name. I had no idea Camilla was on the board, you
Hmm.
know.
Yeah. When you said last episode about how, hey, if they were smart, they would take out Shaheen. What was it about Shaheen that you felt like that he was the right target?
Well, it was just the pairings that were over there, the Cedric was the easy vote, you know, and he sort of knew he was on the bottom, but David sort of started swirling around Shaheen's name. Now, I don't think David ever really trusted Shaheen, so they had the numbers to maybe switch it around and use Cedric as a vote. Yeah, and they just didn't.
Did anybody else besides Mary think that Shaheen and Camilla could be a possible duo?
Well, that's funny because that pick, this challenge, that last pick, when we were standing on the beach and they're like, "How are we going to do this?" And I was like, "Well, let's do like random 5 guys, 5 girls," and they all shot me down. And I was like, "Okay, I see what's going on." And they don't show it, but Joe picked Eva right away. That was the first pick. Joe goes, "I got Eva," and then David goes, "I
Oh,
got Mary," and then Shaheen goes, "I got Camilla." Then Mitch says, "I got Kyle." And there's me and Star just standing there. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, this is not going to work. And I bitched that Kyle and Mitch were going to, and then Kyle was kind enough to go, "Okay, I'll take you, Chrissy." But that's the way. And it just showed, it laid out exactly what was happening right there. You know, it was
yeah.
right in our faces.
Oh, that's so interesting because they made it really seem like Shaheen was like, hey, first pick, Camilla.
No, it was Joe, Joe, Eva. It was like David, Mary. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
quite obvious.
So, did you see anything that Mary was seeing to make you think that Shaheen and Camilla had something going on?
After that pick, it sort of made sense. And when they went for that, after they lost and they went, they don't show it, but Star comes running back out of the boat, and Star was like, "Chrissy, they're working together." Because Star is not an idiot. She saw the balls. She saw that they were purposely giving her the red balls, and right there told me that if Camilla was smart, she would have went. They would have tried to get Shaheen to lose his vote. So
Hmm.
now you got one of the strong people that doesn't have a vote. Instead, you put it on Star, like so yeah, so right there when Star came running back and she's like, "They're working together," I sort of had a feeling that
Yeah.
they were playing they told me they were playing the middle. Kyle and Camilla were very upfront with me that they were gonna play the strong people, but they were also still with us. And like I said, they were in the perfect position, you know. And my role was like to sort of lay low. And then when the Siva 4 can charge, we were gonna charge. But we lost David. That was the
Yeah.
big we lost David.
Chrissy, was there anything else about your game that you think people should find out about that you want to let them know?
Well, I just think I wish they would have put a like disclaimer under me, like she's 55. She's 55 because I'm freaking old and they're young and it was hard and they're very strategic and I give
What
props
part
to
was hard?
everybody
Physically or the strategy was
physically.
hard?
Both physically. I thought I can go in really with the strategy part, but they are masterminds. You know, I my brain doesn't think as well as they do, obviously. And the challenges, I would get sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh, I just don't want to be bad at challenges and show weakness. Every day I would hurt something. I'm like, oh my God, everything hurt on me, but I couldn't show it. I was like, yeah, I'm tough, but I was really crying inside the whole time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, Chrissy, you and Cedric got to reunite at the Ponderosa, and sure, fun times with
He's my
Cedric
best
at
buddy
least.
right now,
Yeah.
by the way. Me and
Yeah.
Seth are like,
King and Queen of Ponderosa. So
that's
looking
right.
forward to seeing how you two vote at the end of this thing. But Chrissy, thank you so much for making some time to talk about this, and all the best outside Survivor. Okay.
Thank you so much. You
All
take
right.
care.
Take care, Chrissy. Bye. This is RHAP. We know reality TV.